Freemasonry is a speculative fraternal brotherhood that seeks to build character and moral participation in the world through allegory, ritual, and study. The lore at the heart of Freemasonry holds that the order itself was founded by the builders of King Solomon's Temple. The signs, symbols, themes, texts, and rituals are all therefore built upon the characters, the symbols, and the themes found within the historical texts of the Hebrew Bible. The Magen David, the Star of David, the Beit HaMikdash, King Solomon's Temple, and a host of biblical characters play prominent and foundational roles in the lore of Freemasonry. It is also accepted within Freemasonry that the order at its core is built on the history and ancestry of Jews, since it was the Jews who built and worshipped in King Solomon's Temple, and, according to Masonic lore, it was the Jews who were responsible for creating and maintaining the order until its eventual co-option into a predominantly Christian organization centuries later. Historically, Jews were welcomed freely in English lodges and into the Scottish Rite as time went on, due to the close association of Jews with the foundation of Freemasonry and the principal scenes in Masonic story and allegory. There were, however, several chapters in Prussia and other German states that only admitted Christians up until 1870, with a few chapters going even beyond that. Freemasonry in America began as an organization of elites, so it swiftly became an organization that allowed for an increase in social standing. By joining the Masons then, according to Sarah Zimmerman in her work, Men of Honor and Honesty, Connections Between Jews and Freemasons in Early America, Jews established themselves as part of the American elite, expanding their social networks beyond the Jewish community to other powerful people. Jews had complete and equal rights within the halls of the lodge. There were actually a number of Jews who were able to form their own lodges. Jews as Freemasons, members of that faith, founded the order in America by Henry Whittemore. This newspaper article was written in 1906 for the American Israelite in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it celebrates the Jewish roots of the foundation and establishment of Freemasonry in America. The article begins by stating, "The history of St. John's Grand Lodge, Boston, contains the statement that the first lodge of Freemasons established in the American colonies was in 1733, and the second in 1734 in Philadelphia. St. John's Lodge in Boston is celebrated as that first official lodge in North America, opening its doors in 1733, with the second lodge subsequently being founded by Benjamin Franklin in 1734 in Pennsylvania." Whittemore, however, asserts that although these two lodges were considered the first official lodges, there were actually a group of Jews who had brought the craft to America almost 3/4 of a century earlier, in 1658. The article continues, "In the spring of 1658, Mordechai Campanal, Moses Levy, and others, in all 15 families, arrived at Newport from Holland. They brought with them the 3 first degrees of Masonry and worked them in the house of Campanal, and continued to do so, they and their successors, until the year 1742. Not only were Jews responsible for bringing the craft from Holland to America in the 17th century, but Jews were also instrumental in the leadership of early lodges. Quote, "A Jew became Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Rhode Island after the Revolution, and later another Jew became Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts. The later establishment of the first 2 official Masonic lodges in America, then, is a direct result of the fostering of Masonic practice in America, dating back to 1658. George Washington was a famously active Freemason, and according to Whittemore, quote, Moses Sextus was the Grand Master of the Freemasons in Rhode Island in 1790. On the visit of President Washington to Newport, August 17, 1790, the Grand Master presented an address to the President on behalf of King David's Lodge of that town. Here, not only are Jews credited with the nurturing and establishment of the craft in America, but a Jewish Grand Master, essentially the leader of a lodge, was responsible for delivering an address to the first president of our great nation. It is important to note that there is some dispute as to the number of Jews who actually became Grand Masters and held other positions of prominence in their lodges, but this shouldn't detract from the fact that Jews had the ability to hold such prominent positions within lodges across the country. Now, this particular article from the American Israelite paints a very positive and proud picture of the relationship between Jews and the establishment of Freemasonry in America. America was established with the principle that all people are created equally and that each person has an inherent right to practice their own religion. Freemasonry, though established on the stories, characters, themes, and symbols of Jewish holy texts and practices, holds that the allegory and symbolism is utilized to promote brotherhood and development of character. That being said, so long as a man has a good moral compass, being asked to join by someone who is already a Mason, the religion that the individual practices outside of the walls of the lodge become almost irrelevant. Freemasonry is a fraternal brotherhood, not a religion. It is a fraternal brotherhood that seeks to use ancient wisdom from the Tanakh and beyond to improve the character of Masons, which therefore makes the world a better place. Unfortunately, due to the religiously originated allegory, symbol, and story, there were many European lodges that did not afford Jews membership, with England and Holland being two of the shining examples of the acceptance of Jews within the Brotherhood. These Masonic Jews were able to come to America and not only practice their religion freely, but also to engage as Jews in society, which included particular groups within society, such as fraternal orders like the Freemasons. This article also points to the notion that there was a mutual benefit of Jewish participation in Freemasonry at the time. Because Freemasonry relies so heavily on Jewish texts and symbols and characters, it provided some lodges the notion of additional legitimacy through the fulfillment of the desire for ancient roots. Jews, as we mentioned before, were provided truly equal rights, positions of prominence within the lodge, and had the ability to create meaningful social connections to individuals and communities outside of the Jewish community. Overall, the American Israelite, this particular entry in the American Israelite by Henry Whittemore paints an overwhelmingly positive picture of Freemasonry, with the assertion that many members of the Jewish community, including rabbis, joined the ranks of Freemasonry. This particular article, Jews as Freemasons, members of that faith founded the order in America, shows that not only was Jewish participation in Freemasonry recognized, but it could be argued that it was quite prominent, hence the need for an article to celebrate the Jewish origins of the foundation and cultivation of Freemasonry in America.